how Geometry Dash became the world's hardest game. Let's go.
How did this stupid 2D block game manage to become the hardest game in the world? Outlive the game it initially copied by 15 years, get over 300 million downloads, and become the most profitable mobile game in the world, all while not being updated for 6 years straight, and being predicted to fail every step of the way. Well, this strange story starts in 2009, when a small indie developer—
No, real quick. It is not the hardest game in the world. He says the hardest game in the world. Listen.
become the hardest game in the world.
It is not the hardest game in the world, dude. There are way harder games, in my opinion, than Geometry Dash.
Starts in 2009, when a small indie developer named Gatiscute would release the Impossible game, the original game that would start this all. Now, this name should already ring a bell for you, because it would become an instant hit. Why? Well, it was actually kinda genius. You see, at that time, there was a lot of focus on complex and graphically intensive games, but despite this, the Impossible game would go the complete opposite route. In this game, players control a square that automatically moves forward.
It's literally like 3 different things. It's a triangle, a square, and a line, and you click one button. Imagine that's how you make your billion-dollar game. All these companies take like millions of dollars making their video games, and this guy just made one triangle, one line, a blue background, and a square. It made $1 billion off it.
Forward, and the only action required was to tap the screen to jump over spikes and other objects. The point of the game was to make it to the end of the level in one try, without any checkpoints, which was rage-inducing in itself, but was amplified even more by the fact that the few levels that the game featured were incredibly hard for that time.
What's insane about this game also is that it's only one button you click. That's all you gotta do. One button, and you can beat the whole entire level. It's a very extremely hard game, and it's only one button. That's actually amazing.
Other identifying factors for the game were its super basic graphics. I mean, the game was literally 2D, and it had single control gameplay. The only thing you could do in the game was tapping to jump. So hearing all of this, you might be asking yourself, how exactly did it become a hit? Well, everything I just told you, although seeming negative, is exactly what made it so appealing. It was a direct contrast to what was already popular, making it instantly stand out. The basic graphics and limited controls made it accessible to literally anyone, whether you were playing on a $5,000 PC or your mom's 5-year-old phone. And the sheer difficulty of the levels coupled with no checkpoints made the gameplay so much more intense and addicting. So because of that, 1 month after its release, it already had 10,000 downloads, which for that time was very impressive. But about a year later, it would have over 3 million downloads.
Wow, 3 million downloads, and it's $1. That means he made at least $3 million. He made $3 million just like that, man.
Downloads. What the f happened in between those timestamps? Well, when the game initially launched, it only featured a single level, but over the next coming months, Gatiscute would update the game with new features, like upside down gameplay, new levels, bug fixes, and more. And you would think that's what caused this massive spike in downloads. Well, not exactly.
But that's not even that insane. Those updates are like literally 2-second updates. That update probably took him like 2 hours to do. And it dramatically changed the game forever.
Remember how I described how good the game's concept was earlier? Well, big YouTubers started to pick up on this as well, and that's where the game absolutely blew up. The sudden exposure catapulted it to the top of every single game chart. Thousands upon thousands of downloads every single day. Everyone wanted to try this new game. The future for it was looking bright. Or was it? You see, despite all of this hype and success, the game had many flaws. Ones that didn't seem so significant now because of the big smoke cloud of hype around the game, but would eventually lead to its unfortunate demise and dethroning. The Impossible game had tons upon tons of problems, with the first one being lack of content. Despite its initial popularity, the game offered only a handful of levels, and once these were beaten, there was little else to keep players engaged.
And that's an easy fix. Just add 5 new levels that are even harder, man. That's literally the fix. Just add more levels. The more levels, the better it is. The thing about this is you can add as many levels as you want because it's not going to hurt anybody. It's not like it's going to change anything. It's going to add more content and people are going to enjoy it even more.
changed. The novelty of its difficulty and simplicity wore off, leaving players craving more variety and challenge. But Fluke would seem unwilling to do anything about it. Time between updates was starting to become longer and longer, and no big updates had been done ever since the initial release of the game. Perhaps he didn't realize at that time what a goldmine he truly sat on, but if he wasn't seeing it, someone else definitely already was. A couple of years passed after the Impossible game's peak, and the hype has totally died down at this point, and everyone has for the most part forgotten about the cube jumping game. But in the shadows, something was cooking. RobTop, seeing the Impossible game's previous success, despite having glaring flaws, understood that there was clear untapped potential. So he decided to create something that not only emulated its addictive gameplay, but also enhanced it significantly. Geometry Dash was designed to capture.
This looks the exact same thing as... Look, this looks the exact same thing. You cannot even lie. The only thing that he changed was a nicer background, more glowing, and the icon character.
Design.
It looks the exact same, dude. He just added some particles to it, more glowing, a nicer background.
To capture the essence of what made the Impossible game appealing, while fixing the flaws that capped its growth. First of all, RobTop would release multiple levels right when the game launched, so players right off the bat had plenty of content. However, the levels were not all hard unlike the Impossible game. They were ranging in difficulty, with the first one being the easiest and the last one being the hardest.
That's so smart, because that means anybody can play it. Because if you play the first level, like pretend you download the original game, right? And you play it. You're gonna die like 50 times and then rage quit. But if you play the easiest level, you're gonna win that level and then feel really good about yourself and then keep on wanting to grind the harder levels.
This didn't seem like much, but it would drastically lower the entry barrier, since players could choose a skill difficulty aligned with their own skill level.
Exactly.
But all of that frailed in comparison to this one single feature. Now, RobTop saw that lack of replayability is what killed the Impossible game. So with the level editor, he aimed to fix just that. With this feature, players were able to build their own levels that they could then publicize.
That's so smart. I mean, that's such a genius idea. It's like, if y'all want to make the weirdest level, y'all can make the weirdest level. If y'all want to make the most hardest level, y'all can make the hardest level. Because then you can make your own levels and spend hours and hours editing it and then get famous off it. And there's so much more variety and so many more things to do on the game.
For everyone else to play. In theory, this would solve the content drought problem. Players were now not only limited to the official levels made by the creator of the game, but thousands of user-made levels, each different from one another.
Yeah, and another thing is, this makes content creators in a really good spot also, right? Because the content creators can say, amazing user levels, Geometry Dash, right? And they can get like 1 million views just for like saying that. Because if you make a YouTube video saying top 5 levels, right? Everybody's gonna want to see that video.
So a couple of months of development later, and he finally releases the game. Now, despite everything I just told you, the game actually had a very slow start, barely racking up a few hundred players in the first few months of the game existing. People had gotten enough of the whole cube jumping concept in itself. Or did they? RobTop wouldn't give up that easily. He would continue to update the game, each update bringing something new and unique to it. Update 1.2, adding the reverse portals, reversing your game when entering through it. Update 1.3, adding leaderboards, which added a competitive aspect to the game. And these
updates, they don't even sound like they're out of the blue. These sound like they really made the game. I mean, like, a leaderboard doesn't hurt anybody. It makes it so it adds more competition, right? Adding more items to put it inside the levels and make it even harder and more unique is such a smart thing to do. Because he could have just added more skins, stupid things that don't affect the gameplay, and the game probably would have died if he did that. But he was smart and added certain things that changed the aspect of the game. And the awesome thing about that is you can add it or you don't have to add it, right? It's like, it's your level. You can add it if you want to. You don't have to add it if you don't want to. Everybody wins.
These were all very good things that enhanced the gameplay and just generally made the game more fun. It was clear that RobTop was putting in genuine effort and care into the game, and these thoughts were all reflected by the small current player base. They were loving it. The reception for the game was amazing, but the growth was still incredibly slow, and after each update, RobTop was slowly losing motivation. Maybe the concept didn't work after all. Little did he know, he was missing one small detail that was preventing all of this. And in update 1.1, he would unknowingly add it, which would change the course of the game forever. Update 1.1, among many other things, added new unlockable characters and colors. It wasn't anything unusual from what was added to the game before, but one of these features would change the course of the game forever: the replay recorder. On the surface, it just seems like a fun feature. You can rewatch your previous attempts and share it to your friends and other people, but that's exactly what the game needed. The Impossible game was able to gain so much exposure because people were sharing the level attempts and completions, and by adding a feature that subconsciously encouraged people to do just that by making it easier to do, people began spreading the game, which was exactly the push needed to cause a chain reaction.
But I think he's saying that I feel like on phone it's very hard to screen record and download the footage and post it on YouTube, right? This is automatically saved on your camera roll. You can just send to all your friends and say, hey, I beat, the hardest level. Can you beat it? And probably YouTubers also were using this also to post the content, and that probably helped the game a ton.
People were sharing their attempts to their friends, which they shared to their friends, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's probably one of those like chain reactions. Like, it's like, you beat that level, I want to beat the level now.
And so on, eventually reaching the YouTubers, who began making videos on the game. The word spread like wildfire, and soon the game absolutely skyrocketed to the top, just like the Impossible game did previously. But unlike the Impossible game, Geometry Dash had a light version, so people who were on the edge of paying for the game could try out the trial version before making up their mind. This free version also exposed the game to a whole new market of people, who would just simply
That's so smart, but I think whenever I played Geometry Dash, the trial version was super laggy for me. I don't know what it was for you guys, but for me, it was so laggy and glitchy and just not that good. That's really smart that they put a trial version, because I think there's a lot of limited gameplay in the demo. So if you want to get the full game, the full experience, you buy, the $3 game, and it's not even that expensive, right? It's not like you're paying $85 for Call of Duty. You're paying $3 for a video game that will last you forever.
Looking for free games to play, which would funnel over even more people to the full version of the game, which was paid. Robtop would continue.
Yeah, I mean, $2 for a video game, that's not even bad, dude. And the great thing about Apple, in my opinion, is that like the credit card's already saved, right? So all the kids probably just clicked on it and just bought it really easily.
Update Geometry Dash to satisfy this new surge of players. Update 1.6, adding the first official demon level club step, and secret coins which would be used to unlock demon levels. Update 1.9, adding the second demon level, Theory of Everything 2, and the new wave game mode. And all of these things would go on to become the iconic features and levels we all know and love today. But a problem was starting to arise. The game was starting to go on a bit of a decline. The initial hype of the game was at this point starting to fade away. Robtop had the right thought when adding the level editor, allowing for unlimited versatility in the game, which extended the game's shelf life by a little bit. But really, there are so many levels you can play before it simply gets repetitive and stale. After all, the gameplay is for the most part the same across all of these levels, since there's literally only one game control, which is clicking, and there's only so much you can do with that, and that's also why the Impossible game died. It is at this point almost all games in this category fall off. These types of games are not meant to last a long time. The concept is just simply not suited for that. Geometry Dash was doomed to fail from the start. Except it didn't. You see, despite not even being updated for 6 years straight, it surpassed its peak and continues to grow till this day. But
Why? Why?
But the most surprising part about this is that it was done unintentionally. So how did this happen? The initial hype for the game had died down, and the game was kinda at a dry spot. All the big updates that could have fixed the game in any significant way had already been made, and Robtop was just left adding small changes and bug fixes to the game. If he wanted to save this game, something would have to happen quick. He would continue updating the game on a regular basis, desperately trying to do all he could to revive it, but nothing really seemed to be working. And being super discouraged by that, updates would start to become less and less frequent. But little did he know that he was accidentally about to change this all. Back in 2014, Geometry Dash only had 5 difficulty ratings: easy, normal, hard, harder, and insane, since the difficulty didn't really go up higher at that time. But a problem would soon arise.
He adds a harder difficulty. And what that does is it makes it so everybody wants to beat that hard difficulty, but it's extremely hard to beat that difficulty, so everyone plays it and grinds the game. And then YouTubers post it and say, yeah, I beat the hardest level. give me 1 million views on YouTube. And that's exactly what happened. I predict it right now. That's what he's about to say.
Rise. You see, the max amount of stars you can get for beating a level at that time was 9, being done through beating an insane level, the maximum difficulty. But soon, a level that was harder than anything that had ever been seen before in Geometry Dash was made, called Demon Park. Now, this was kinda weird, because while being harder than any of the current insane levels, you'd still get the 9 maximum stars for beating the level, so players were instantly repelled from this level. Why spend days to complete Demon Park when you can just beat an average insane level and get the same amount of stars? So because of that, the level instantly became hated. But RobTop was impressed. The game had never been pushed to a limit like that, so to honor it, he added the demon difficulty in update 1.6.
That's so
the amount
smart.
of demon levels that you had beaten were displayed on your public profile.
The best way I can describe this is flexing. It's flexing it. If you have more demons on your profile, everyone will be like, damn, this guy is, legit. He's the real thing, right? So that's why it probably made everyone go back to the game and get addicted again to it. Because it makes it so if you have a demon completed, everyone wants to be like, damn, I want to be your friend.
Serving as bragging rights. But what RobTop didn't realize is that this little change would inadvertently reward players for pushing the game to its limits. Demon Park was quickly knocked out from the first place as the hardest level. It seemed like every day new demon levels were being released, each one harder than the last. But alright, why am I telling you all of this? Let's skip forward a few years. The year is now 2017. Geometry Dash is at version 2.1. You'd expect the game to be dead by now. After all, it was falling off so rapidly a few years back, so surely it must be completely dead now. Well, the game had actually tripled its player count and showed no signs of slowing down. How did this happen? Well, what if I told you that it was all because of demon levels? Let me explain. As I was saying, demons were released literally every single day, each one becoming harder than the last. This will go on for a bit until eventually we reach Cataclysm, a level thought to be impossible. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. What this does is it makes it so everybody's grinding for it, right? It takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to do it, right? So then once you complete it, you're like the only person that completes it. You post it on YouTube and you get like 10 million views, right? It's like the Minecraft speedrunners, right? Those Minecraft speedrunners play every single day for 8 hours a day. And then 1 out of the 10,000 of them will get a world record and they'll post on YouTube and get like 20 million views, right? It's the same thing for this in my opinion. There's probably like 1,000 people trying the hardest level, and then one of them is going to beat the level, and then they post it on YouTube and get like 10 million views. They want the fame.
We had reached the skill ceiling. We couldn't go higher from here, or so people thought.
Yep, and he beats it, he freaks out. Yep. Yeah.
Not only would this move the game forward in terms of skill and what was thought to be possible, it would also serve as a major event for the community. You see, prior
Exactly
to
what I'm saying. It breaks the community because everyone's like, oh my god, you beat the hardest level. You have, so much bragging rights, right?
this, the game didn't really have a dedicated community, and the game didn't really mean anything to people. It was just something people played casually. But this was the
Yep, and now it becomes competitive.
first time people had actually come together to watch and celebrate something. It was like a football game, something for players to aspire to. Old players that were previously bored of the game, and even people that had already quit, were suddenly engaged.
This makes it so everybody wants to grind the game. And they're probably going to spend so much more time because they want to beat this level and flex it to all their friends. So they're probably spending like 3 times more than what they were originally playing the game as.
Again. Even more than that, it would also create a huge buzz. People had never seen such a seemingly dumb game being pushed to absolute limits like that, subsequently bringing new players into the game. This would happen time and time again. Gatiscute Hell, Sonic Wave, Bloodbath, and bam, we're in 2017 again. The game is growing better than ever. The community is flourishing, and RobTop has just released the biggest update yet, 2.1. But little did players know that this would be the last update for 6 whole years.
Whoa! Holy frick, 6 years, dude?
This update was very beneficial for the game, adding many big features like object movement, other revolutionary level editor features, and other stuff that would greatly enhance player-made levels. But would that really be enough to keep a game alive for 6 years?
Probably not. But I kind of understand where he's coming from, probably because he doesn't want to add too much. He doesn't want to add so many new items that the game becomes so like clunky.
The previous times Geometry Dash had a stale period like this, RobTop still consistently updated the game, so would it be able to pull through this time without any updates? 2 years passed after the update, and the year is now 2019,
This is
and
recent.
interestingly enough, the game is still alive and keeps growing. What was happening? When other games would have absolutely crumbled after half a year of not updating, Geometry Dash was still standing strong after 2 years. Well, many notable events had happened in that time period, like Noble Boy verifying the hardest level the game I'd ever seen, being a buffed version of Bloodbath, literally the previous hardest level in the game. And after that, the levels just kept getting harder and harder. At some point, there was a guy
That's
literally
insane.
beating a level after 3 years and 850.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. 820,000 attempts, 3 years. He probably been playing this level every single day of his life for 3 years straight for like 8 hours a day.
1,000 attempts. The craziest part is that today this isn't even the hardest level and only like the 4th on the demon list, with Tidal Wave being the hardest one. Within those 6 years, Geometry Dash managed to become one of the hardest games in the world. A stupid block game holding a title like this was absolutely mind-boggling, which in itself brought incredible hype to the game. But all of that wouldn't have been possible without this. You see, there was also something interesting happening. It wasn't the achievements themselves that were keeping the game alive. It was the community, talking about and creating hype for events, content creators making videos on the game, top players absolutely pushing the game to its limits skill-wise, level creators revolutionizing what was thought to be possible, not only skill-wise, but also mechanically. An example of this would be this level. This is literally a 3D level that was created in a basic level editor made for 2D levels. Like, how is that even possible? And all of this would continue on through the rest of the years. Insane achievements, revolutionary events, big scandals, memes, and just generally constant hype around the game. Until eventually, after 6 years, 2.2 was finally released, being the best update the game has ever had, creating the biggest peak in the game's history. But once again, that wouldn't have been possible if the community didn't keep talking and creating hype around it. Otherwise, no one would even care. You can make the game the best possible game, the best graphics, the best gameplay, the best literally everything. But if it doesn't have a community, it will...
The reason why this game had such a good community was because they had all the resources to make it a great community.
most likely die. So yeah, that is basically it. Please subscribe. Goodbye.
That was a great video. In my opinion, Geometry Dash is a great game because he knew exactly what he was doing.